There are a lot of things happening here in the town of Mount Pleasant. I sit down exclusively with Town Administrator Eric DeMoura for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Eric DeMoura, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you are the man, like I said before, who runs this town. You are the town administrator. What is it like to be you these days?
Well, it's I have a wonderful job. Very grateful to town council. Grateful for the members of this community that allow me to do this for a living. I love being a part of building wonderful communities, and that's what we have here. So, I wake up every morning knowing that there's a new challenge, and it's exciting.
Exciting. What is that challenge right now for you as a town administrator?
There's a lot, and probably not that different from any quickly growing community around the country. There's a lot of things in front of us that the public is expecting us to deal with and manage properly, from mostly growth-related issues. But then there's also things about, what does the future recreation department say look like? What does mobility in this community look like? How are we going to handle newer technologies, fully automated vehicles? So it's both dealing with the challenges of a fast-growing community and dealing with more typical things that a community would have to face.
You talk about the things that the community face, and obviously is the big talk around the world, coronavirus. I think I pronounced that right. How do you look at this as a person, and how do you look at it as a leader of this town?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Because there's the personal side of it all, and then there's the professional side.
Sure.
Obviously, I'm a parent.
Right.
I'm a son, so I worry about my mom as an older person.
Sure.
I worry about my children and my family. And then when I come to work every day, and when I'm thinking about work, it's how are we going to, as a town government, protect the things that we absolutely have to do. Assuming that there is a hit on us from coronavirus. Protecting the things we have to do, protecting our personnel so they can do those things,
Sure.
and then protecting the community at the same time. So it's three objectives are what we look at. For a town manager, a town administrator,
Sure.
city manager,
Right.
whatever the name is, we look at critical services first in an event like this. So we have to provide police protection, we have to provide fire protection, and we have to provide sanitation, meaning pick up the garbage.
Right.
That's a direct public health matter. And so we design our response to being able to make sure that if our workforce is hit, that we can still provide those three things above all else. And then you get to, well, then how do we protect our force as best we can
Right.
to make sure they can do those things? And then we look broader into the community of what can we do at the local government level to protect our citizens. And then you start having conversations about large gatherings and whether to continue with those or not. So the coronavirus has really impacted us all already, whether we've been sick or not.
I've been doing the bridge run, since 2000. I started running it in 2001. Took a couple of years off, but this will be my 16th year.
Good.
Oh, yes, sir. I love doing it. I was just on the bridge on Monday, and I'll be back on it tonight. But where are we with the discussion about the continuation of this year's bridge run in your mind?
Yeah. Well, there have been discussions about it, and that decision will be made by bridge run officials, likely in consultation with our elected officials.
Sure.
In Charleston County, obviously locally in Charleston and Mount Pleasant. It's a little bit of a wait and see approach. That's not to say there hasn't been important discussions and planning,
Right.
but it's to say that how is the coronavirus progressing? That will be a key factor in whether the bridge run continues or not.
Or not. Let me turn over to some tough news here. Obviously, the Mount Pleasant Town Council voted last night to give the town's attorney a 6-month notice an additional transition period. What does that transition period look like in your mind?
Well, that transition period will allow, last night, town council was clear that they want to move to a general council form, which is different than we have today. And so this transition period will be moving towards that. It'll be not different from the usual hiring practice, which is formulation of a job description,
Right.
Sending out a solicitation to those individuals that are interested, and then working to bring that person on to the employment of the town of Mount Pleasant. So that's the transition period, and that was council's decision last night.
Last night. In your mind, can the attorney charge the town consumer rates, or can they charge versus the contract rate in your mind?
I'm not sure I follow the question.
In your mind, can the attorney or the attorneys charge the town for consumer rates versus the contract rate now that they're in this 6-month period, and then they'll have the additional transition period?
Oh, we all fully expect, and I believe our current corporation counsel expects that we'll proceed under the terms of the contract for the next 6 months.
6 months.
So whatever the terms are right now, as far as how they're paid, then that'll continue.
How fearful are you that this potentially might put the town in debt or even further legal issues?
Well, it's town council being the duly elected body. They have a right to decide these things, and they made a decision last night that they felt was in the best interest of the community, and no doubt there will be some transition. It may cost us some money here. There'll be transition as far as staff turnover and passing current projects that involve legal onto new people. But I would say these types of transitions are fairly common, and I expect that we'll be successful in doing that.
You talk about current projects. I got to talk to you about Carolina Park. Live News reports that the town might pair with Oceanside to build a $7 million football stadium, and as a part of the town's capital improvement plan, the town originally budgeted for baseball fields for the town-owned Carolina Park. Mount Pleasant Town Council member G.M. Whitley told Live News the proposal to build a stadium would replace the plans for baseball fields, which were already budgeted for, and the town would have to come up with the extra funds. What got you from the baseball fields to now this potential football stadium?
Well, I think town council, like with every other aspect of the town government, they're discussing how to best provide services to the public. So if you apply it to this case at Carolina Park, they're discussing how to best provide recreation services to our community. And they've decided that the best way to do it, that the greatest need, is to have a stadium type structure, football field at that location at Carolina Park. So that's been their discussions, and that's been their decision. The next part would be attaching the funding to it, which they've already started deliberating over, and which will be on a future budget committee agenda, which is really a committee of the whole for them. As to how to attach the funds to the project. So that's where it is today, and that's what we're working towards.
And I know that there are several options, I believe, for the Carolina Park phase, which I believe has 4. What is the overall budget for the Carolina Park phases right now?
Well, we have been building it in phases. We didn't have all the money to start the entire project. So we had phase 1 and phase 2. Sure. This is phase 3, as you mentioned. Right. And the budget we have for it right now is $3.5 million. And we'll need some more money to reach the stadium. But the good news is town council right now is in the midst of their budget discussions. As part of that, they're in the midst of discussions over our greater capital plan. So they'll have the ability to reprioritize projects, to move funding allocations from one project to another. So they have options if the stadium option is what they wish to continue with.
Has that MOU been finalized right now in your mind?
No, it's not. It's in draft form. how the process works for us here with any memorandum of understanding with any entity that we're sharing services or facilities with is typically myself or the department head most closest to the situation will pull together almost a draft list, draft scope of what this thing, structure of what it could look like. And from there, it goes to our legal support, who then put it into form.
Sure.
Proper legal form. And only really at that point in time is the document ready for deliberation by town council. And so we're in that process now. It's in legal's hands, and we're working through some of the details. I have no doubt that our lawyers will come back with some suggested revisions that would improve the product. That's fairly common.
Sure.
And town council will weigh in on this.
Man on those. What in your mind is the shortfall right now for those phases at Carolina Park?
Yeah, good question. Once this is built, what's left are two softball fields, one more rectangular field, soccer, lacrosse field,
Okay.
a dog park,
Okay.
and a small trail further back in the project. So that would be that's what's remaining, and that will be the final phase, which is phase 4.
Phase 4. And as we sit here right now, what is the status of the apparent artificial turf facility at Oceanside Academy as you know it?
Well, the artificial turf is a go. Council
Okay.
gave the green light for
Okay.
that. So this project will have a rectangular-sized football field with artificial turf.
Okay.
And remember, this is the town's stadium.
Right.
It's the town's field.
Sure.
We are working to put together a partnership with Oceanside, who plans to contribute to the stadium structure. But it's the town's project. We have a partner, and the field will be artificial turf.
And so what's the understanding in your mind of, say, shared uses?
Well, shared uses is something very common here for us. I guess when you boil it down, it's having one facility where others can use it when you're not, and I can use it when you're not.
Yeah.
Fortunately for Oceanside, because of their schedule,
Oh yeah.
the shared use concept works very well, because presumably they're using that field when they need it, which is during the day. Our recreation programs don't even start up until sometime after 4.
Right.
So it actually works out very neatly with a partner like Oceanside.
Oceanside. And this might be off the beaten path, but did the town of Mount Pleasant have any talks with the Charleston County School District in regards to this by chance?
Well, I'm not sure we would. I'm not sure that would be necessary.
Okay.
Because they have their football needs spoken for and taken care of with their facility. I'm not sure how they would be able to utilize this facility any further.
Okay.
Really, right now, this is a partnership between us and a high school that needs a stadium.
Now, as we sit here right now, Eric, what issue can you point to that justifies the need for the town building a stadium for really a charter school?
Well, we're not building the stadium for a charter school. I don't speak for town council,
Sure.
but from what I glean from their deliberations, that this stadium is for the use of the town and its citizens.
Okay.
The idea that we can get help in its construction through a partnership is what this is really about, more than the town just building a stadium for another entity. In fact, I think under most situations, the public would be supportive of the town building a facility and trying to find a partner, especially a partner who doesn't need to utilize the facility at times when it's in conflict with the town's programs.
Let me turn over to the capital improvement plan. I know that the town has it, obviously, but has any improvements been made to the comprehensive plan in the past couple of months?
Well, council is working diligently on getting the comprehensive plan to a vote.
Okay.
It's a large document. It's a very important document. requiring time and discussion. And so one thing council has done is has made it a point that they were, right after the election, that they were going to take up the comprehensive plan and make any adjustments that were necessary and get it passed. And so, but they've uncovered areas that they would like to adjust, and they're doing that. And they're going through the proper public process to do it. But one thing is for sure is that they're adamant in the importance of the comprehensive plan as a document and getting it passed.
Any adjustments, say, for instance, Coleman Boulevard?
There wouldn't be in our capital plan nor the comprehensive plan. Council has already weighed in on infrastructure improvements that you see today. They've done that in the past. They've also weighed in on zoning changes and building height adjustments. And all of those really for Coleman have been decided. And now council's looking at other areas, trying to make sure that the zoning patterns and the heights fit their vision for the community.
What areas concern you right now as far as height and zoning?
Well, the issue came up last night. Council is deliberating over what the proper height should be for areas, not Coleman, but areas up around Houston Northcutt, Johnny Dodds Boulevard, Bowman Road. And they are having lots of discussion and deliberation over what the proper heights of those buildings should be. Last night, a vote to reduce heights was up, and they weren't quite ready to give it its last final reading where it becomes law. They want to talk about it a little bit more, and I think that demonstrates their desire to get it right.
I got to go back over to Coleman again, because obviously another talk is about the Broadway self-storage. On February 26th, it was on the Commercial Design Review Board agenda to discuss the preliminary approval of the site, the landscape and architecture. That site, landscape and architecture, what is the current height variance idea in your mind?
Well, Quintin, I frankly don't recall the specifics of that particular project. You know, it was in front of council several months back. A lot of these things were discussed. Please remember that property was in Charleston County, and could have developed in Charleston County. My opinion is that when council took up the project and delivered any necessary approvals, that they did it knowing that project could develop in the county, and knowing that, feeling that they negotiated on really the best situation for the town of Mount Pleasant as they could, given that the town doesn't have total control over that property because it's in another jurisdiction.
And that was going to lead to my next question. Obviously, it's still, some people believe it's a donut hole in the town. Is it going to be annexed at some point?
Yes. No question. That property is annexed into the town, and they're moving through the building permit process. But yeah, as you know, we have properties all over town that are still in Charleston County. We call them Doughnut Holes. And there has been several attempts at new legislation in the General Assembly to get some of those addressed, and to this point, those have not been successful.
Let me go down the street to Shim Creek. I know apparently it's been reported that there's a marina property available down there, but it has not been sold yet. Was this property ever under discussion with the Shim Creek Task Force?
Well, the Shim Creek Task Force did a wonderful job for us, by the way. And they focused on that area and they delivered a report to town council about things of note that were worthy of consideration and attention by council. One of the, all the comments were important. One of those comments was to recommend to town council that they go ahead and pursue acquiring one of those facilities, one of those pieces of land that help support commercial fishing. And town council did that. They did that, what's known as the Wando Docks. And so the town is the owner of that property now. And we've entered into a long-term lease for a company to help us manage that. And that was a major move. You know, council just about every council I can remember has been very interested in protecting that area of town and preserving our history, not just our history, but promoting the commercial fishing industry. And their decision to buy that property was a fairly major move in making sure, as much as we possibly can, that the industry was going to be protected.
Protected. What exactly can be done with that property from a town's perspective in your mind?
Mm-hmm. Well, the town's intention is to maintain it as commercial fishing.
Okay.
Providing dock space, providing processing, ice.
Oh yes.
Things that are necessary. Of course, the infrastructure, making sure that the docks are up to speed, they're safe.
Yes.
The buildings that those in the industry rely on are safe and they work. We've done a lot of those things already. So that's what we expect it to be. I have not heard any conversations amongst council of doing anything other with that property than what's there today. That has been the clear intent, was to enter that space and to support the operational success of commercial fishing, and they've done that. And I don't anticipate anything changing in the long term.
Let me turn over to something else. What's new? What's now here in the town of Mount Pleasant?
What's new? Well, gosh, it is. It's such a wonderful community. It truly is. It's very vibrant.
Yeah.
We're so fortunate to have so much to do. We have terrific schools.
Sure.
We have terrific people.
Yeah.
Our natural assets like Shem Creek, Boone Hall.
Yes.
They're really tremendous. Our historic assets are tremendous. And one thing we've learned over the last decade or so is that there are a lot of people who agree with that. Because we still have 6-7 people a day moving into Mount Pleasant. And so we're, I wish I could say we're the best kept secret, but we are not a secret. But, one thing that's great is, in addition to what I mentioned, is that our town council and our leadership that we have, the elected body leadership, they are serious about doing everything a local government can to maintain what we love about this community. And it's not easy work. It's hard work. It's easy not to make a lot of friends doing it. But I think that they see the long-term vision that the hard work today can really deliver and protect the special community for the long term.
Long term. I know you got to run because your assistant's right here. But Eric DeMoura, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Great to see you again.
Yes, sir.
You take care.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All righty.